Stephen Miller is trying to attack the judiciary. And this is so incredibly dangerous for everybody, for the fiscal conservatives, especially, because if you want to have a good economy, you have to have a stable, fair, and just judiciary. Otherwise, you have no place to take your contracts for them to be enforced. And MAGA wants to cook the books. They want the fix to be in across the board with ICE, with the military, and the judiciary. And so Stephen Miller tweeted the following, put this up. The issue before is now is very simple and clear. There is a large and growing movement of left-wing terrorism in this country. It is well organized and funded, and it is shielded by far-left Democrat judges, prosecutors, and attorneys general. The only remedy is to use legitimate state power to dismantle terrorism and terror networks. A day after this, a South Carolina judge that ruled against Trump and Trump's DOJ, her house blew up, and arson is suspected. Number one, it's a complete lie that Democratic judges are activists. They are for the rule of law. And Stephen Miller and Donald Trump are not for the rule of law. And we can look no further than January 6th to know they want the fix to be in. They don't want a fair fight. They want to cook the books. And Stephen Miller wants a white supremacist United States of America. Here's a video, and then we'll get Pump's take. That's the judge's house for those that are listening. I mean, it is an absolute inferno. Pumps.
Well, Stephen Miller is a stone cold sociopath. I read an open letter that one of his family members wrote to him about how did you get so despicable and cruel, and reminding him, while he is a white supremacist, he is also Jewish. And part of the problem with undermining the judiciary is there's no rule of law. And so we've got the lower court judges trying to toe the line and stay true to the Constitution. But then you have the Supreme Court on their shadow docket giving Trump whatever he wants. And let's remember, these judges have been appointed by Republicans and Democrats. And the judge that made the most harmful ruling against Trump and his plans is a Trump-appointed judge. It is because these judges are following the Constitution that Stephen Miller and Donald Trump are angry.
Donald Trump needs to be removed from office immediately. His dementia is it is completely skyrocketed. He goes and sits in front of the United States Navy and completely politicizes the Navy. And then he goes on these dementia-rattled rants about Osama bin Laden and Pete Hegseth, and I think he thinks he was in office. This is so incredibly dangerous. This is the president of the United States speaking to the United States Navy. It's not cute. It's not neat. It's not fun. This is our country. We have innocent men and women that are serving in the United States Army that care about this country, that went into it for a career. This is the shit they have to listen to. Play the clip.
Politically correct anymore. And history will never forget that it was the SEALs who stormed the compound at Osama bin Laden and put a bullet in his head. Remember that? And please remember, I wrote about Osama bin Laden exactly 1 year ago, 1 year before he blew up the World Trade Center. And I said, you got to watch Osama bin Laden. And the fake news would never let me get away with that statement unless it was true. But I said 1 year before to Pete Hegseth, I said 1 year before, where's Pete? In the book, I wrote, whatever the hell the title, I can't tell you. But I can tell you there's a page in there devoted to the fact that I saw somebody named Osama bin Laden, and I didn't like it, and you got to take care of him. They didn't do it. A year later, he blew up the World Trade Center, so we got to take a little credit because nobody else is going to give it to me. You know the old story? They don't give you credit, just take it yourself. And it was the U.S. Navy that dumped his wretched corpse.
That's enough. This is advanced stage right here, as far as I'm concerned. Pete Hegseth would have been 21 years old when 9/11 occurred. And Donald Trump was the one that right after 9/11 went on national television and said, now I have the tallest building in New York, which was false. But of course, he had to make it about him and somehow an extension of his compensatory language that he uses to compensate for, I would assume, rectile issues per Stormy Daniels. But this is the United States military. And then he goes on to trigger half of the country and to blame half of the country for the problems. The United States military takes an oath to the Constitution, and they're supposed to protect citizens, even those that don't agree with them. The military should not be politicized. Listen to how dangerous this language is from Kinks.
But we have to take care of this little gnat that's on our shoulder called the Democrats. They want to give all of our money to illegal aliens that pour into the country. And, you know, I have a bigger heart than they do. But the problem is when you do that, they come in by the millions. Everybody wants that, so you can't do it.
So a gnat called the Democrats. This, if Joe Biden were standing in front of armed forces and said, we need to deal with the Republicans, it would be impeachable. And I just played a clip about his cognitive decline. We played a clip about Stephen Miller inciting violence towards federal judges that rule against this administration. It's not as fascism here. It's here. And what happened in Nazi Germany when Hitler was consolidating power, people were living their lives. They were listening to the radio. They were going to theaters. They were going to restaurants. Meanwhile, all of these things were happening and it felt very normal. And then all of a sudden it wasn't normal. We're at the stage with all of these ICE provocations where this is not feeling normal. This is happening. This is happening right now.
When I heard Donald Trump say that, I was like, that is laughable, given that Osama bin Laden was on the FBI's most wanted list. It's not like he was some dark character nobody had ever heard of. And in terms of his cognitive decline, we saw him before the U.S. military when Pete Hegseth had his little circle jerk where he called in serious military leaders and made a huge ass of himself. Donald Trump made a huge ass of himself. And then he hears, or I don't know if he saw, but I'm sure his aides saw, leaders of other countries with Emmanuel Macron laughing at Trump, mocking him. He is an embarrassment. He is a global embarrassment. And he's out there. It should be not just J.B. Pritzker saying we need to invoke the 25th Amendment. It should be all day, every day. This man has no idea what is going on. Not to mention the U.S. military does not protect the United States in United States cities. It's abroad and foreign. It's just amazing how he has manipulated the military.
All right, and here's Kinks on the tarmac talking about Portland. And I want you to notice here, he's incessantly lying. And the number one goal of this administration, they campaigned on this, is getting the enemy from within. This is a campaign promise that MAGA campaigned on. He said it every day, every rally, all the time. So for all of the MAGA voters out there that wanted a tax bracket, this is what you're getting. You're getting your Democratic relatives, your independent relatives that are not MAGA. This administration is turning the military against Americans while Vladimir Putin and Benjamin Netanyahu dog walk this dementia-riddled president. Play the clip.
We're going to look at that. It was amazing. Portland is burning to the ground. It's insurrectionists all over the place. It's Antifa. And yet the politicians who are petrified. Look, the politicians are afraid.
The insurrectionist all over the place was him and all of his January 6th insurrectionists. And then he immediately pardoned them. The whole ethos of the MAGA movement is to own the libs and be mean to Black and brown people. That is what they stand for. They don't care about human rights. They don't care about a solid economy. They don't care about an unpoliticized military. They care about owning the libs and being mean to Black and brown people. That is their entire ethos. So then I wonder, what are the Democrats saying and doing? Because this is a moment where we have to be a full court press. Authoritarians fake their power by flooding the zone. Donald Trump is underwater in everything, but they're on TV all the time, reality television, propaganda. You think, oh God, this is overwhelming. And it is. but they are completely underwater. So it's important that Democrats attack, get their foot on their neck, do not let it up. All gas, no brakes. So what is Chuck Schumer doing? Play the clip.
Data came out today from KFF, and that is not Kentucky Fried French fries. KFF could be Kentucky French fries. Yeah.
Kaiser family.
I know. Orange. Excuse me. Today, new data came out from KFF. The
Resign.
Family.
Resign. Resign immediately. This is pathetic. I started off this video by saying that Trump needs to not be in power. Equally, Chuck Schumer, you are not the man for this moment. You do peekaboo photo shoots with Benjamin Netanyahu. You are completely inept and incompetent at forming a solid resistance party because you yourself are beholden to the same donors that donate to MAGA. And everyone in America is sick of this shit. It's because of status quo Democrats like Chuck Schumer that left a vacuum for Trump to come in and fill with this fascism. This is an incredibly dangerous moment. We either need to put Bernie Sanders or Chris Murphy at the helm of the Senate immediately. Immediately. This cannot stand. He is not the man of the moment. We need to form a rock solid resistance the way the governors are, Pritzker and Newsom and others, that you cannot fuck around with fascists. You don't go in their office and you see a hat on your desk that says Trump 2028 and smile and laugh. You get up, you turn around and you walk out, because for narcissists, being ignored is very, very effective. Don't play into sombrero shit. All this KFF stuff, Kentucky Fried, whatever, sounds like you need to be in the nursing home as well. This is beyond pathetic. Please like and subscribe to this video, and we'll be back later.